Welcome to the Elk Shape Bonus Podcast. We're talking about Idaho elk tags today. It is Friday, and this is happening right now. So if you're watching this and you haven't submitted your application or you want to go back and modify it, I'm here to help. So let me give you a quick background on my experience with Idaho. I was born and raised in Spokane, Washington. Idaho was 20 minutes away from my house. So we live very close to Idaho. I shot my first elk in Washington State with a rifle. I believe the year was 2001. So in 2002, I picked up my first ever non-resident archery elk tag for the Panhandle. That's units 1 through 9. That's the zone. And I hunted the Panhandle year over year until 2019. And then 2020, I started hunting southern Idaho, and I've hunted down there ever since. I have lived in Boise, Idaho in 2006 to 2007, but I was an idiot and never fully committed to being a resident. I should have. I didn't. But thankfully, last year, we sold our house in Spokane and moved to Idaho, and we've been there for over a year. Now, I won't bore you to death, but I'm not going to be an Idaho resident all much longer. We're building a house in Washington, and whenever it's done, we will move to Washington, and I will no longer be a resident of Idaho. But as of right now, I got myself one of them Idaho driver's license. If you live in Idaho for at least 6 months, I'm talking bona fide, that's you legit live there full time, you can buy a lifetime hunting license, which I did, which locks me in to where I can always buy an elk tag or a deer tag from the resident pool, but I'll still pay non-resident prices. So at some point, I'm going to have a Washington driver's license again down the road. But what that does is I don't have to do the draw thing that you guys are all going to be doing today in the next 5 days. And then they'll have another one in a month. This video is just going to break down my top 5 zones for elk hunting. And I want to give you and I've been in all of them, so I can tell you firsthand experience. And I want to break those down. Idaho's going to probably look at everybody's first choice before they move on to everybody's second choice. It's not one of those, they pull your name out of the hat, look at your first choice, look at your second choice. I think it's going to be everyone's first choice is going to be really important, and we'll see how it plays out. Idaho's going to charge you no application fee, but you have to have a hunting license. That's not a terrible thing. A non-resident hunting license in Idaho is just under $200. And with that, come over, spring turkey hunt in the mountains, hunt some thunderbirds in the mountains, do some coyote hunting. Please come over, do some wolf hunting. Send me a direct message. I'll send you places where wolves live. They're everywhere. And you can also spring bear hunt. It's not terrible, but for those looking for an opportunity to hunt elk, Idaho has opportunity. Idaho has decent numbers, but Idaho also has a lot of predators. They have grizzlies, black bears, mountain lions, wolves. And the residents of Idaho, they're all really good hunters. And Idaho is just built different. It is steeper than most states you'll go to. It's not necessarily higher elevation, but the terrain is steep. If you flattened out Idaho, there's got to be a stat out there of how much of the state it would be. It is the steep. I always use trekking poles when I'm hunting Idaho, regardless of where I'm hunting Idaho. Idaho is steep. Let's look at the top 5 areas that I'm telling you to go to or to check out. Now, this isn't going to ruin hunting because there's only a finite number of non-resident elk tags. I'm not here to skew draw odds. I'm just here to help out, and also united, not divided, guys. Let's not bicker. Let's be unified. And somebody's got to hunt these elk non-resident wise. Hopefully it's you. Let's get into it. So the number 5 spot is actually going to be the Panhandle, units 1 through 9, because it gives you an abundance of area to hunt. The Idaho Fish and Game don't treat the Panhandle as, they don't have an objective. They used to have an objective. I want to say 2011, they turned it to no objective, which means no more flying over, trying to count numbers. Plus it's timber country, it's thick. This is going to be an area where you're going to want to be able to call elk. This is going to be an area where you're going to want to have a wolf tag in your pocket if you do draw. And there's going to be units 1 through 9. I've been in every unit in the Panhandle. They're all different, but the same. Steep, thick, some logging, some not logging. Roads are everywhere. And when there's closed roads, they're not really that close. They don't do a good job of enforcing road management, walk-in only type stuff. So this is where I learned how to hunt off a dirt bike. Not illegally, but legally. There's single track trails where you can ride a dirt bike and get away from some of the competition. You can use an e-bike. Now there are also closed gates roads where there'll probably be a trail that goes around the gate, but you are breaking the law the second you do that. And there'll be fresh four-wheeler tracks going around the gate. Don't be that guy. And then those instances, an e-bike is considered a motorized vehicle, so like you shouldn't be going around them. Then you have potlatch and other logging outfits that allow access. You'll have to do your due diligence. Regardless, the Panhandle, to me, I'll talk about the longest because I know it the best. I've killed a lot of elk in the Panhandle. I like it because there is elk there. There's a lot less elk, but the chances of getting a bull to answer your calling style and getting in tight and shooting one under 20 yards, this is the terrain for you. So if you're an elk caller, Panhandle's good. People get elk out of there every year. People will say that there's too many people in there. There's no more elk left, blah, blah, blah. I don't buy that. There's still elk there, but you're going to have to work for it, and you're going to need as much time as possible, especially if you get the A tag, which is the archery only tag, or the B tag. And I'll explain the two differences real quick. So the A tag means that you have all of September to hunt elk with a bow. And then they give you the very last 5 days of October to pick up a rifle. And then they might even have a December hunt, which I don't care to talk about because I just think you're wasting your time. The B tag opens October 10th through October 24th. It's obviously rifle tag. And then you get, I want to say 6 to 10 days, I can't remember what it is, of the archery tag in the beginning. So you can actually hunt with both weapons and get a little bit of both. So whatever tag you get, make sure you know you're getting it and why. But again, Panhandle, highly recommend for those that have a lot of time off or want to call elk and want to beat the brush, suffer a little, work your butt off, you can get it done. Number 4. My fourth pick is going to be the mountain range that hugs the Montana border, also known as the Beaverhead. It is got quite a bit of elk. It is open country, and these elk travel great distances, and the rut can be fire, or it can be really hard to find a bugling elk. Again, very steep, very big country. If you're not in shape, this is not the unit for you. There's the motorized vehicle rule in place in this unit, so you can't just drive a four-wheeler wherever you want. And there's a lot of rules involved as far as where can you drive a four-wheeler, ATV, e-bike, dirt bike. Some of them are going to be completely closed year-round. Some will have seasonal dates that you have to pay attention to, and some are open, but only if you are driving in a camp or hauling meat out of it. Otherwise, the machine's got to stay parked at camp. Big country, decent elk, decent bull sizes. You'll get the Montana, Idaho push back and forth, guys pushing elks from both sides of the state. Good densities. People be mad that I mentioned it. I think it's painfully obvious. It's a good area. It's big country, lots of glassing, and I don't think calling will work as good, but there will be pockets of timber and situations where you can do elk calling. It'll just be a little nuanced. It's kind of got a steep learning curve to there. It would be the opposite style of hunting as the Panhandle, but I think it's a good place to go, and it's 4 units, lots of places to choose from. I would encourage you to stay very mobile. Number 3 is going to be the unit right across the street from the Beaverhead, and it's going to be everything I just said. It is considered the Lemhi. I do think there is more remote country over there. I think there is even more nasty, steep country. Access is tough. Definitely would recommend potentially backpack hunting in there. Water can be scarce in certain areas, and you should not be surprised if elk travel 6 miles a day from feeding to bedding. The competition is thick, same motorized vehicle rule, very similar style, choose your own adventure, that type of place. Number 2 is going to be Diamond Creek. Everybody thinks that Diamond Creek is the most sought after area. And I think because it's where it's geographically located close to Wyoming, where you can get bulls that maybe spent last year in Wyoming may end up being in the Diamond in the next year. They all push down and winter together. They share wintering grounds. And so you just get this flow of different elk. Now, there are a lot of roads in the Diamond Creek zone, and I think there's a lot of hunters in Diamond Creek zone. When I was there, I didn't appreciate how much hunting pressure was there. There was nowhere to even pull over and park or camp. I got there middle of the month, but because of where it's located and the ebb and flow of elk, the potential for bigger bulls is there. It is actually a lot thicker than you'd think. It is similar hunting style to the Panhandle. There are places where you can spot and stalk, but primarily due to the thick underbrush, it is an elk calling. That is where you're going to want to have your best elk calls, your best elk sounds, a lot of boot leather under your feet, and you're going to need to get away from roads. And there's going to be little pockets and places of elk. And these elk are pretty educated, but there's going to be days where they drop their guard. And if you're in the right place, I just think you can get a really big bull out of there. I think their place has potential. It's not my number one choice personally, but I think for non-residents, it would be a place where you are going to hear elk. You're going to have to work your butt off. It is steep. It is thick. It does have a really diverse, from north to south is quite diverse. The further south you go, the more open it'll be. The further north you go, the more, densely forested underbrush type stuff. There are places where there are some trails that you can ride in legally. And I don't know if there's a motorized vehicle rule there or not. I doubt it. But some of the trails are really technical and steep. So ultimately, go there if you're in really good shape, you're willing to work hard and get away from people, and you're halfway decent at elk calling, you could get a really big bull out of there. And there's some really good elk hunters there. The competition is thick. And finally, my number one pick for you guys to put on your application is... Hey guys, interrupt this podcast to tell you about our partner, Black Rifle Coffee Company. This is a veteran-ran company. Evan Hafer established it in 2014. And if you're like me, coffee is life. Well, we have a discount code for you, ElkShape20. Throw that in at your checkout. Maybe you want to get some new swag, some hats, RTDs, or of course, coffee. You can also check out their subscription where you can dictate the types of coffee and the cadence delivered to your doorstep. You'll never run out of coffee again. Black Rifle Coffee Company, discount code ElkShape20, proud sponsor of ours. Back to the pod. Island Park. It is going to be chocked full of elk, but it also has a lot of grizzlies. You're going to need to have gun spray, bear spray. You need to do best practices in the backcountry for scent control. And you're going to have that sixth sense and be intelligent on when and where you're hiking, especially if you get elk down, that second trip back in to get the meat out. Like there's a grizzly vibe there for sure. And there's a lot of different type of country there. I really think that is your best bet for the best elk hunting, but there's only a limited number of tags and you will not draw if you don't put in. If you live a long ways away and you're probably like, hey man, if I put in for this and I don't draw, I'm probably not going to come up to Idaho and hunt. You're out a couple $100. There's no bonus or preference points. Better luck next year. I think it's a good value. I'm glad they moved to this system. I hated the driving to, and I've done this, driving to Idaho gas station and waiting in line with everybody else and just trying to scramble to get a tag. And you can never really coordinate with your buddy as to where, if they got the same tag as you. Now you can put in together. I think it's up to 4 guys. So now people will be hunting together again, which would be cool. I'm super excited. I just want to do this bonus podcast. Again, I'm coming at the most friendly, like, hey, I'm just trying to help. I'm not trying to ruin hunting. I'm not trying to blow up any spots, but these are just my personal 5 areas that I've been to that I like. So check them out. Good luck. And I hope that you get an elk tag in your pocket and go make some memories. Separations in the preparation. Stay in elk shape. We'll catch you on the next one.